Hey everybody, welcome back. For those who catch these episodes when they're first released, I'm sorry for the delay in getting this week's episode out. I ran into an equipment issue, and I had to order a replacement piece. My wife and I left for Boston last week to do our annual breast cancer walk. I ordered the replacement piece, and it should have been delivered on Monday when we returned. Needless to say, it wasn't. It didn't get here until Friday. So thus, this episode is released on Saturday, not its usual Thursday. So again, my apologies. On another note, a reminder for those of you maybe new to these episodes. There's a newsletter each week. It's based around these episodes, focusing on transition, but it also offers other good information, advice, and tools on transitioning. I know you'll get some benefit from it each week. There's a link in the show notes. I hope you'll go sign up. Last thing, before we get into this episode, I'd appreciate it if you'd reach out. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, or how I can improve these episodes. Because my goal is to make these the best they can be for you. All right, that's enough. Let's get into this episode. You've been doing the job for years, maybe even decades. You know the rhythms. You know the demands of the uniform, the weight of the decisions, the responsibility. There's a certain kind of pace that develops when you've lived in a world long enough. You don't always notice it. It just is. And then one day, you start thinking about what's next. Something shifts. You start looking ahead. And without even realizing it, the pace you've developed, it kicks up a notch. You start moving faster. Not physically necessarily, but mentally, strategically. You start imagining how all the things you've done are going to carry over into your next chapter. And that's where it gets tricky. Because the same momentum that helped you succeed in these careers, it doesn't always serve you the same way when you're stepping out of them. The more confident you feel, the easier it is to overlook what you haven't yet prepared for. Not due to arrogance, but because you're used to making things happen fast. And now, that urgency can start to race ahead of your actual readiness. This episode is about finding that line, the one between confidence and complacent, between experience and application, between running hard and running smart. So with that, let's get into round 85 of the tactical transition tips. This time the topic is, don't get out in front of your skis. For the close range group, those of you looking at your transition right away or you're less than a year out, downshift your ego. You've earned your place in this world, but that doesn't mean the next one owes you anything. Start with humility, and you'll open doors that confidence alone can unlock. For the medium range group, those of you looking at your transition in 5 years or so, shift from operator to coordinator. Your value is not in how many tasks you complete. Your value is in how you teach those who will take your place. And for the long range group, those of you just starting your careers, you've got at least a decade before your transition. Build depth, not just experience. Stack your career with intention. Focus your efforts on transferable value, not just the flashy assignments. Close range group. You need to downshift your ego. Now let that sit there for a second. Your transition is coming fast. And whether you're feeling excited, anxious, or totally unsure, one thing is probably true. There's a part of you that's already halfway out the door. And I get it. After the years of service, the hard things you've done, the decisions that no one else wants the pressure of having to make. You've been the steady in the chaos. You've led others, and you built a reputation. That kind of experience builds a deep sense of confidence. And make no mistake, be proud of that confidence. But here's the catch. That confidence, it can also start to tip over into assumption. It might not be intentional. It's just that you've been operating at such a high level for so long, it's easy to believe that stepping into the next chapter will be a natural extension of everything you've already done. And yes, maybe parts of it will be, but not all of it, and not automatically. The titles, the rank, the respect, they don't always translate outside the uniform. So when I say downshift your ego, I don't mean lose your pride or bury your identity. I mean, get intentional about how you carry your story and how you carry it into the next phase. Because your story matters, but the way you tell it, that's what's going to open doors. So start simple. Learn to introduce yourself as you, not the uniform or the rank. For some of you, that alone might feel awkward. Your title has been more than a job. It's been a piece of who you are. But here's the thing. Outside of our worlds, those titles and ranks don't always mean what you think they mean. They can confuse people, or worse, they can create distance. You should be proud of what you did, but if the person across from you doesn't understand that world, the title alone doesn't build a bridge. So instead of leading with what you were called, lead with what you did. Say things like, I led teams responsible for crisis response. I fostered interagency coordination. I managed situations and operations. I mentored and helped instill team collaboration. Those are explanations the civilian world can grab onto. That's the kind of phrasing that hiring managers and business owners can understand. This is not about watering down your accomplishments. It's about making them connect. You also need to develop and rehearse your elevator pitch. Have a version of your story ready that isn't built around just what you used to do. Build it around what you bring to the table now. A simple formula you can think about. Who do you help by what you do so that what result can occur? Here's an example. I help teams improve their readiness and performance by bringing leadership from over 20 years in pressure-filled and complex situations. Now, I'm not saying this is a perfect statement, but it drives the point. Your pitch should be powerful, direct, and it needs to open a conversation about your value, not just your history. Now look, I know that kind of self-description doesn't always feel natural, especially since we're used to letting our actions do our talking. The last thing we want to be within our teams is the one who brags. But this is part of the shift. You're not hiding your past, you're translating it, and translation matters more than you think. You can't assume people will just understand your value. You have to guide them, give them the context, tell your story in a way that shows relevance in their world. This episode is brought to you by Brothers in Arms USA. They're a veteran-owned and operated clothing and accessories brand that's 100% American-made. Every piece tells a story of brotherhood, respect, discipline, and honor. Deeply inspired by those who serve, those who have served, and those who have paid the ultimate price serving our great country. Whether you're an outdoor enthusiast, a proud patriot, or simply somebody who values high-quality American craftsmanship, they've got something for you. Go check out brothersandarms.com, spelled out fully, brothersandarms.com, and use the promo code TRANSITION20 to get 20% off your purchase. The next shift you need to make, balance your confidence with curiosity. This one's big because our confidence fuels our ego, and sometimes asking questions might feel off, like it doesn't fit who you are. But the reality is, curiosity signals confidence. The people who are most secure in what they know are the ones willing to admit what they don't. So walk into interviews, networking events, or even casual conversation with a learner's mindset. Ask real questions, thoughtful questions, not the superficial generic ones, but ones that show you've done your homework, questions that show that you want to grow. For example, instead of, so what do you do? Try, what projects are you working on right now that you're excited about? Instead of, is it a good place to work? Try, what's something about your company or the culture that people don't seem to realize from the outside. Instead of, can I send you my resume? Try, what's the best way someone new can begin building a relationship with your team or your company? The bottom line is, hiring managers and executives are looking for someone who knows how to lead, but is still coachable. Someone who brings depth of experience, but also humility. You learn that by asking good questions. You show that you're adaptable, and that matters a lot more than pretending you already know it all. And speaking of pretending, please don't. Own your gaps without apology. It's tempting, especially when the pressure's on, to gloss over the parts that you don't know, to pad the resume a little bit, to try and sound fluent in skills you've barely started to explore. The same way that we can tell when someone is trying to bullshit us in our worlds, civilians can also sniff out your BS in their world. So instead of saying something like, that's an area I'm actively working on, I'm taking a course on it right now, but actually be taking the classes, or I'm looking for opportunities to apply it in real time. That shows initiative, self-awareness. It shows purpose and commitment. And that kind of honesty builds trust, something that will always carry more weight than bluffing. Remember, you don't need to be perfect, but you do need to be moving forward. That's the game. And finally, and this is hard for a lot of us to accept, civilian respect has to be earned. The uniform, it meant something, but outside the walls of our current world, it's not always recognized, especially the way we think it should be. You can't take it personal. It's just unfamiliar. So don't walk in expecting influence. Walk in ready to earn it again. By connecting, by offering value, by learning how your experience applies to the new battle space. Like it or not, you're starting over, and the mindset you bring to that starting line will shape everything that comes next. So take everything you've earned, everything you've lived, and carry it forward with confidence. But leave the expectation of instant validation behind. This chapter is yours to build. Just make sure you're not charging down the hill faster than your footing can handle. This isn't about playing small. It's about playing smart. Medium range group. Shift from operator, medium range group. 5 or so years might seem like a long time. There's still a whole lot of operations ahead of you. You're still deep in the mix. There might even be one more promotion on the horizon. And because of that, the whole idea of transition preparation can feel like it's for someone else. You've still got time, right? But let me challenge that idea a bit. Those 5 years or so aren't just time, they're opportunity. Yes, you're not racing the clock yet, but you do have a window to start changing the way you think. Not about who you are, not about the mission, but about how you operate inside of it. Right now, you're probably leading from the front. You're one of those people that gets things done. But do you let others get things done? Are you in control and won't let go? So this is the time to start shifting from operator to strategic coordinator. From the person who runs everything to the person who builds teams and systems that run without you. From the person who's in charge to the person who's putting the next up in charge. And it all starts by letting go of the idea that your value is measured by how many tasks you complete. That's the trap most high performers fall into. We think that if I'm handling 100 things, I'm important. If I'm overloaded, I'm essential. But doing everything isn't proof of value. It's just proof that you can't let go. And when you leave, if your teams can't function without you, that's not leadership, that's liability. Not just for the organization, but for them also. So ask yourself, if I didn't go to work tomorrow, Would my team know what to do? Do people rely on your mentorship, or are they forced to rely on you? This is not about making yourself irrelevant. It's about making yourself scalable. When you can step back and let someone else drive the bus, that's legacy. That's sustainability. That's preparation for whatever role you take on next. There are a lot of veteran and first responder-owned coffee companies out there. Trident Coffee is one of them, but they're different. They're cold brew experts, and their beans are roasted for cold brew optimization. But for those of you who love hot coffee, this is a benefit to you as well. Hot or cold, their coffees taste amazing without the bitterness. Their instant cold brew is infused with powerful ingredients for performance, focus, and wellness, including antioxidants and electrolytes, ensuring smooth, steady energy with no jitters and no crashes. This isn't just coffee, it's fuel for your brain and your body. Whatever your coffee needs, Trident has you covered. From a variety of great tasting roasted beans to their instant cold brew and nitro cold brew in a can for when you're on the go. However you drink it, Trident Coffee is coffee upgraded. Get yours now at tridentcoffee.com and use the promo code TDP15 for 15% off your purchase. So if you're not already, start focusing on why, not just how. It's so easy to get caught in the machine of what we do. Respond to the call, follow procedures, complete the operation. When's the last time you stopped and asked, why does the process exist? It's not a philosophical question. It's actually a tactical one. Because the civilian world runs on efficiency, on optimization. And if you want to perform in those conversations later, you need to start thinking upstream now. Start looking at the systems you work inside of. Why is this the process? Why do we run operations this way? What's the ripple effect of that policy? Is there a better way? Those questions train your brain to look beyond your little box and start seeing the entire board. That's where strategy lives. And people who can think like that, they're not just hireable. They're the ones who walk into a room and change the way it functions. Another mindset shift? Lead through questions, not answers. I know that's a hard one, especially if you pride yourself on being the one who always has the answer. When your team turns to you, you respond. When there's a crisis, you step in. That's been your role. But if you're always solving the problem, no one else learns how. Now, granted, that might feel efficient in the short term, but in the long run, you're just creating a team that depends on you instead of one that grows with you. So start asking more questions. When someone brings you a problem, ask them, what do you think we should do? Or how would you approach this if I weren't here? Let them find the solution. Maybe even struggle a little bit, but let them think. Yes, you can guide them, but don't rescue them. Because every time you give someone a chance to figure something out, you're building future leadership. And that's the mindset you'll need 5 years from now when you're transitioning out. And along those same lines, design your phase-out plan now. Too many of us often wait until the last couple months to start writing anything down or sharing any information. Hell, I guarantee you all of us have gone into a new assignment and the previous person either left incomplete notes, shitty instructions, or nothing at all. Don't do this to your replacement. Don't make them spend the first year just trying to put the pieces together. You're better than that. Start now. If you can, identify your replacement. If you can't, identify a couple people who could be your replacement. Start sharing everything you know. Put a notebook together, contact lists, whatever it is you use to do your job well. Because when it's time to step away, you don't want to leave a void. And here's one last layer to think about. Train yourself to see patterns not just actions. Develop, for no better terms, mental altitude. Right now, you might be operating from, let's say, the ground level, solving one issue at a time. Even if you're operating at a leader level, you're likely only focused on your unit, not the bigger division. But what happens when you zoom out? Can you identify the reoccurring problems? Can you see the second and third order effects of how decisions play out? Can you predict where a system will fail before it does? That kind of awareness is what separates a team leader from an executive leader. And the only way to develop it is to practice it. So start reading reports you wouldn't normally read. Sit in on briefings or meetings outside of your area of operation. Start learning budgets, staffing patterns, recruitment trends, resource allocations. All of this might feel foreign right now, but in 5 years, when you're in an interview being asked how you'd manage a division or improve operations for the company, that kind of thinking will be your edge. You've got the time to experiment without the panic of an impending exit. You can still lead with intensity, but you should also lead with intention. You need to start building a reputation for thinking beyond your current role, because you're not just preparing for your transition, you're elevating your leadership today. You become a stabilizer, a multiplier. Yes, 5 years might feel like breathing room, but if you use it well, it'll become your launch pad. Long-range group. Right now, your transition feels like a concept, not a concern. You're newer into this world. Hell, maybe you've just started the game. Your career is stretched out in front of you like a long road, and you're just trying to pick your lane. Your priority right now is getting better, learning everything you can, and building respect with the people around you. But don't ignore the horizon completely. Transitions have a way of T-boning you when you least expect it. And this isn't about living in fear of that day. It's about building a career now that supports you no matter when that day comes. And that starts with a mindset shift. Instead of only chasing the assignments that look good, chase the ones that build you. Granted, there's a lot of pressure, especially early in a career, to pursue the flashy stuff. SWAT, airborne, K9, recon. And don't get this twisted. Those spots are fun. They're elite. They build grit. And they give you some really cool stories. So yes, if you're interested, go chase them. However, there's the question I want you to keep in the back of your mind. Does this role grow something in me that I can carry outside of the uniform? If the answer is yes, lean into it. If the answer is no, or if it's unclear, then make sure you balance yourself with assignments that develop your transferable value. And what do I mean by that? Take the roles where you have to write executive reports, speak to management and leadership, manage budgets, lead people, teams, and divisions, interpret data, evaluate performance, plan operations that span more than one mission. Yes, being the one to kick the door is fun, but door kicking isn't a specific civilian skill. Whereas developing a budget, giving a presentation to a CEO, understanding the operational objective of the entire company, that's what's marketable. Because a decade or more down the road, when someone looks at your resume, they're going to want more than a worker bee. They're going to want to see intentionality. So think about the story your resume is writing today. Is it just a list of assignments and certificates? Or is it a narrative? Does it show that you moved with purpose, that you built on your strengths and sought out growth, that you stretched yourself across different kinds of roles? This October 28th and 29th, the Military Officers Association of America is bringing together 3,000 voices, military leaders, warfighters, veterans, and families at National Harbor in Maryland for their inaugural conference, Total Force Plus. This isn't just another military conference. It's a mission to advance solutions for our military and veteran community, including leadership development, quality of life, military transition, and maximizing the veteran's experience. It's all on the table. This is where the next generation of military solutions will be tackled, at the first and only military conference where people outrank everything. And because the mission is so important, MOA is making attendance free for those who are currently serving, the spouses of those currently serving, and all federal employees within the DoD and VA. Secure your seat now, as tickets are limited and offered on a first-come, first-served basis. Visit TotalForcePlus.org to see if you qualify for your free ticket and to register for the conference. The next thing, start planning and developing now what you want from life after this career. Not what others want for you, not what sounds good, what you want. Always ask yourself, if I didn't wear this uniform, what kind of work excites me? What kind of lifestyle do I want? What kind of person do I want to become outside of this career? The more clarity you build about your long-term goals, the more focused and effective you become today. Because when you know the professional person you want to be, you start making decisions now that support that future. You become more deliberate, more grounded. You waste less time. You might even start saying no to assignments that don't serve the future you, and yes to the things that build substance. Next, prioritize career moves that build your story, not just your status. I know that chasing the next rank and the next assignment is part of the game, but sometimes the next role is just that, just the next role. Not the best one, and definitely not the last one. So before you jump into the next opportunity, set objectives for yourself. What does this role teach me? What does it add to my professional picture? How does it shape the person I'm becoming? Now, if the only box it checks is that it's going to be fun, great. But don't get stuck in that position. Don't put blinders on and grind for 10 or more years only to pop up at the end saying, well, this doesn't do anything for my civilian career. Look for the roles that round you out, the ones that introduce you to different types of people, the ones that stretch your communication, the ones that teach you how to mentor others, the ones that expose you to how the larger organization functions. When you collect those kind of experiences, you're not just building a resume, you're building depth, you're building your value. Remember, everybody wants a Ferrari, but most of us own trucks and SUVs. Ferraris do one thing and have limited operational use. The SUV does more things and serves the family, or what you can refer to as your organization. Another thing you need to start to consider, start thinking about a future mentor. You're not going to stay the new guy forever. You might not even realize it yet, but there's already people around you who are watching you, how you lead, how you carry yourself. Start documenting what you learn. Offer to help someone junior who's trying to find their footing. Ask yourself, how can I make this easier for the person coming behind me? That mindset will change how you approach your work. It'll change how you see yourself. Finally, start learning the language of business and civilians. You don't have to become fluent tomorrow, but the sooner you start, the better. Read leadership books about people who aren't first responders or military members. Become a student of success and successful people. Listen to podcasts that talk about business operations, entrepreneurship, project management, or systems thinking. Because when the day comes, when you're sitting across the table from someone in a completely different world, you want to be able to communicate with them. You want to be able to translate who you are into something they understand and be able to explain to them how you add value to their organization. So here's the bottom line. You're not preparing to leave today. but you need to be preparing for a successful career. And a successful career is one that you can transition easily whenever the day comes. The more effort you put in now, the more prepared you'll be later, no matter when later shows up. Some roads feel smooth until they don't. The pace is steady, the view's familiar, and then things shift, even just a little. A new assignment, a promotion, a moment where the future flashes forward. You'll feel it more than you see it on a calendar, and it's telling you change isn't far off. Whether it shows up fast or comes in slow, that day will come. The landscape will change, the uniform will come off, the mission will look different. And when it does, you'll want your footing set, your mindset right, and your next step grounded in clarity, not momentum. It's about choosing the right time to lean forward, but don't get out in front of your skis. If you stayed until this point, thank you. Staying till the end definitely helps the engagement ratings. I would really appreciate any comments you have. What I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, what is missing for you. Reach out on social media or send me an email. The links are in the show notes. Another ask? Please share the podcast with anyone you think could benefit from it and enjoy it. And last, don't forget to sign up for the newsletter.